All right, guys, Robbie here from CrossFit South Bend. Today I'm here with Coach Mitch, and we are going to be talking about Mitch's relationship with food. So Mitch, first of all, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I feel like I'm in Batman's lair almost. This is like a privilege. This is great.
Appreciate it. No windows, completely, cordoned off. So Mitch, first thing I wanted to ask you about is tell us about what food was like for you growing up.
Growing up, it was probably like your classic like American lifestyle. It's a bag of chicken strips, that we preheat the oven, or like a Tombstone pizza. With having my mom being, full-time, worker, she wasn't home all the time. So usually it was us kids, fixing our meals initially. And then when she would get home, she'd usually cook us, some kind of meal that is closer to what I'm going to show you guys here in a little bit, but for the most part it was frozen foods, veggies out of a bag, things like that.
Okay. And then when did you start kind of getting interested more in healthier nutrition? When that transition happened?
Well, so the biggest thing, it was actually kind of brought on by fitness. After high school, I was no longer playing any sports, so I wanted to fill my time with some sort of activity, and luckily my brother-in-law kind of helped influence my fitness lifestyle. So I started working out in a gym, and then I realized that, oh crap, I can't really get away with eating this stuff anymore, especially if I want to get to this kind of PR or whatever the case may be. So I just had a roommate at the time who lived a very similar lifestyle as me, and he kind of helped show me the ropes on how to meal prep, so to speak. And it kind of just blossomed from there. And as the years have gone on, I kind of look back like, damn, was I really eating that stuff back then? And then, I'm sure 5 years from now, I'm gonna be like, what the hell was I thinking,
right.
At CrossFit South Bend? So, yeah.
Okay, awesome. So tell us a bit about how you typically eat now, what your food looks like, and I see you brought some food, and what these typical meals are.
Yeah, so with me wanting to be on the performance side of my fitness routine, wanting to compete and things like that, you definitely have to fuel your body, or else you're gonna crash, energy-wise, or your body's just not gonna recover. So, the things that you guys have taught me is, really make sure you're putting good quality food into your body day in and day out. So luckily, I have a significant other who is also in the same mind frame. So we usually do our meal preps together on Sundays and on Thursdays if we're running out of food by the end of the week. So usually that's like a 3 or 4 hour process that we spend on those particular days. And I generally eat about 4 to 5 meals a day, as crazy as it sounds, and this is kind of
awesome.
How it is. So generally it's gonna be all broken down from like a macro standpoint. Like I have my numbers that I follow, and I try and stay within that range as best as I can. And I generally try and eat every 2 to 3 hours, as long as my work schedule allows me to do that. For instance, I have a cup of oatmeal with some chopped up apples in there and some crushed almonds to kind of give it a little extra crunch. And then I have egg whites mixed with white onions and broccoli, and that's kind of like a go-to meal for me for breakfast. And then before my workout, probably like an hour or two before that, I'll have 6 ounces of some kind of beef, or maybe even chicken, just depending on what we have, some green veggies, and some rice, because that seems to be a carb that really sits well with me. Like I feel like I get good energy from it. It doesn't really make me feel bloated or anything like that. And I didn't realize how important that was until I started to really follow my diet, and started noticing like certain foods were making me feel less energized or more sluggish, things like that. And then usually about an hour or so after I work out, I'll have this big meal. That's usually where I get the main source of carbs from, and that's usually a little bit harder for me to get all of that through, because I'm a cow. I'm a slow grazer, if you will, so I could just sit there and just pile it in for an hour if I have to. But and then I tend to have like a home cooked meal with Stephanie whenever we get home from work. So that's kind of like our ritual, if you will.
Okay, awesome. So one of the things I like to do with these videos is, with Andrew last time we were talking about the fact that, for him, his unique situation was he was a college student.
Right.
In your case, you are, a competitive CrossFitter and, working out multiple times a day, doing really hard programming. What sort of, nutritional modifications have you had to make the past few years, and what sort of things have you learned with the way you eat with all this stuff?
The biggest thing that I've really learned more about myself is how much we're kind of like a car. Like legitimately, we're built like a car. Like, we have to do our maintenance work. We have to fill our gas. We have to change the oil, things like that.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how true that was until I started really making sure that I was doing my I was changing my oil every couple of hours by eating food, and how skipping a meal or choosing to exercise versus eating, like how big of a difference your performance can be with that, and not being in a set routine can kind of definitely mess up your performance. It's for me, I'm very lucky that I can work out at the same time generally every single day, and my diet kind of falls into that schedule as well. But if things are very busy in my life, I might have to work out earlier or later, or only be able to get a portion of my workout in. But I do know that if I'm choosing exercise over food, I know that my performance is not going to be that good that particular day, or maybe even that week, because of that decision. So just learning how diet and nutrition is key versus putting in a better workout. So that's probably been the biggest thing, and the biggest, most rewarding thing I've gained from doing this.
Awesome. So we've talked a lot about good food.
Right.
Now let's talk about what are your favorite off-plan foods? What do you like to do when you're nutritionally off-roading?
So none of my athletes know this about me. They would be totally surprised when I say this, but I love spicy food, just kidding. They probably know that better than anything. Whenever I'm describing a workout, whether it's like a long aerobic piece, I'm like, yeah, this is like your honey barbecue flavor workout. It's just super chill. Or you got your mango habanero, that ghost pepper, that's that 500 meter max row, that's gonna make you hate life for a little bit. So that actually stems from me actually loving spicy food. Put a plate of wings in front of me, just sit back and watch the show. Die-hard pizza lover, I definitely could eat that at any point. But desserts, I blame my girlfriend for this, but she's really got me into Ben & Jerry's ice cream, getting the little pints and just destroying that.
Yeah.
Late at night sometimes. Luckily, we haven't done that recently. We've been really dialed in with diet and nutrition, things like that. But if you put those three things in front of me, it's game over.
Awesome. So, yeah, that gives us a really good sense of kind of what your diet's like now. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with anyone about kind of food and things you deal with in relation to food?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and I try and relay this to our athletes as well, is that look, I get it. People are if you're invested, you're gonna commit 100%, things like that. But we have other priorities. Some of us have family obligations, job obligations. There's other things that play into our day-to-day life, and I think sometimes people get discouraged when they can't sit down 3 or 4 hours on a Sunday and meal prep their food for the week. And I think that instead of making small jumps, whether that's preparing one meal a week, or whether that's ordering a Meals by Mara, hashtag throwing that in there. No, generally making just a small step forward is still a step forward. That is a room of growth, and just start from there and build off of that if you can. It has to have meaning to you. You know, you have to put value in it. If that's something that you want to get towards and become, like, it can happen. You know, it's just, don't be so discouraged if you can't give 100% right off the bat. And luckily, I'm very fortunate that, you know, with my, you know, job path and the people I'm surrounded with on a day-to-day basis, help promote this kind of lifestyle. And even with that being said, it's still hard. Like, I still find times where it's like, damn, I have to meal prep today, or damn, we gotta go get groceries, whatever. I understand, like, it is very challenging. Nothing is easy about this, but it's not just a diet or a meal program or anything like that. It's genuinely a lifestyle. So I totally get where, you know, the being discouraged comes from, but don't let that get the best of you. You know, just start one thing at a time.
Absolutely. Could not agree more. Well, Mitch, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing this food with us.
Thank you, Batman. I appreciate it. And I'm going to go eat.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you so much for